I look like I'm about to announce my evil plan to Gotham right now. It's not a good look.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to talk about a movie that I think has been kind of flying under people's radar, at least up until recently, and that is Mike Flanagan's new Exorcist movie. Now, this movie was announced in, I believe, 2024. Blumhouse and Universal decided to move away from the David Gordon Green trilogy after the critical failure of Believer, and I don't blame them. I mean, I thought the first hour of that movie was pretty cool, but once it went into legacy sequel territory, it just went downhill. But we're not here to talk about that today. Now, when this movie was announced, it was promoted as Flanagan's new radical take on the Exorcist franchise. Beyond that, we had nothing else. We had a release date, which was supposed to be March of 2026. And then after that, it was kind of radio silent for a long time. The only other, information that we got was a couple interviews where he mentioned that he wanted this to be the scariest movie he's ever made, and that he wasn't planning on starting it until after he finished his Carrie TV series that he did with Amazon that he finished, I believe it was like the end of last year. It wasn't until a couple months ago where we got our first real big announcement since then, which was that Scarlett Johansson, yes, Black Widow, highest grossing actress of all time, Scarlett Johansson, had joined the film. She was the first casting announcement, which to bag ScarJo as your first casting announcement for a movie that's, let's face it, all Exorcist movies are smaller movies, despite the reputation, is massive. And we've had a couple other casting announcements since then. I mean, we had Diana Lane, we just had Lawrence Fishburne, and these are all actors that are in a position in their career where they can pick and choose what they want to do. They're not waiting by the phone hoping somebody calls them back. So this means that whatever pitch that Flanagan and Blumhouse had, it must be good. Now, there were some whispers that Flanagan had probably quietly departed the project, but after the ScarJo announcement, he started heavily, sharing stuff on social media in terms of things that he was tagged in, articles about her joining, articles about the other actors joining, indicating that he's still attached to the project, which thankfully I think is something that this franchise desperately needs. Mike Flanagan, I'm a massive fan. He's this horror maestro, and people like Guillermo del Toro, Stephen King, Steven Spielberg all praise him for his work. He brings a certain soul and gravitas to the horror genre that no other filmmaker really does. He respects his audience, and rather than lean into the typical tropes, he approaches it in a much more emotional and character-driven way. And the last, I feel, really, I guess you could call, radical difference that this franchise had was back with Exorcist 3, which some horror fans like just as much, if not more, than the original. And that was a serial killer, mystery movie that was in the Exorcist universe. So I can't even theorize what this movie could be about. I can't guess potential plot points because we know literally nothing. We just have some casting announcements and a new date of March of 2027. I'm very much excited for this. And there are certain things that I hope he brings to this movie. I hope that he stays clear of being another legacy sequel. We don't need that. They tried it with the last one and it didn't work, and it is what it is. I hope that among the casting, he does start kind of trickling in. There's a certain amount of, or circle of actors that he'll work with in his projects. and he knows how to balance a girthy cast. Terrible way of wording it, but girthy nonetheless. It being February of 2026 means the guy's got 13 months between now and when the movie's released. And for all we know, major moves could have already been made and just not been announced yet. I don't know. But I will be following this movie very closely. And I am extremely excited and extremely eager to see what Flanagan brings to a franchise that, quite frankly, should never have been a franchise. Most of the sequels besides Exorcist 3 are overall disliked to despised by not just horror fans, but movie fans in general, which is a shame. If he knocks it out of the park with this, I think that studios will continue to kind of shift away from the legacy sequel trope that I feel has only worked really a couple times, and just trust filmmakers to bring something new to these franchises that the studios want to just keep, pushing out. Because if you're going to keep something going past its expiration date, you might as well try something new. Anyways, guys, that's my ramblings on Mike Flanagan's new Exorcist movie. I'll probably put something else out when we get a little bit more information. But until then, what do you guys want to see from this movie? Do you think that I'm a total moron and blasphemous for even enjoying that first hour of Exorcist Believer? Is Mike Flanagan somebody that you trust with a franchise movie like this? Let's talk about it in the comments. I'd love to hear. But until then, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.